Tom Jones and one more cup of coffee on BBC Radio WM. It's 16 minutes to 11. So how is your mobile phone signal? We were just chatting yesterday about the fact that ours keeps cutting out and it drives us crazy. And when people call up as well, they call up with the best intention. They want to come on. We love talking to everybody. But sometimes I have to let people go because the signal is just so bad. So why can it not be made perfect, nice and shiny and lovely, and we can hear you crystal clear? Gina says, my signal is great until I get a call from someone waffling on, and then I say, oh dear, oh no, you're cutting out, no, I've lost you. I know I do that, Gina, it's terrible, isn't it? Dave says, don't call, just text people. What are you doing? Oh no, you've got to have that personal touch sometimes, Dave. Jamie says, mine's not too bad, I'm on EE. I find that sometimes a text takes a while to send unless it's via social media. Lisa Taylor says, my signal is really good. I think it depends on who your mobile phone provider is as to how good your signal is. And Stephen Reed said the signals have been bad because they're only bothering about 5G. And Jackie says, I'm with giff-gaff internet. It does go off completely a few times a day. Blimey, that would drive me mad. Ian's in Lichfield. Morning, Ian.
Good morning, Carolina. How are you?
I am good. How are you, Ian? How is your day going?
Not too bad. I'm on the way to Northampton, so...
Oh, good. Well,
straightforward one.
No, well, it's not. It's not. So just don't be fooled by that, because we read out in the travel a bit earlier on. You may encounter some problems because we've got issues on the M1 going south at junction 16. So just beware of that. All right.
I know, and I listened to your wonderful advice. I have altered my route. So I'm avoiding that section. Many thanks to your good self.
Thank you very much indeed. I thought, why were you doing travel so far afield? But now that's justified because it's helped you out, Ian. So that is good. That is good. Well, listen, I'm glad you've got a signal to call us on. What's it like as a rule?
Well, to be fair, on the road, EE, I'm with EE. To be fair, on the road, it's quite good. But what I will say is that I've had this conversation numerous times with the EE guys. Well, obviously EE used to be Orange, didn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I live in Lichfield, and the Orange signal was fine. It was great.
Yeah.
And then EE took over, then it went to pants. I went, well, what's going on here? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So when I spoke to the guys from EE, they went, what it is, because we've merged networks now, and it's a lot more saturation point, the cells are being overrun. So we need to improve the signal in your area. So the problem we have is that we need to build a mast, and we can't because everyone keeps saying no mast. So
right.
It's kind of like a situation. I mean, if you want the signal, you need the infrastructure that goes with it. That's it, really.
That is it. And we go down to the New Forest a lot, and I'm on EE also, and down there is nothing. There is nothing. You do not get a signal unless you go to kind of like a town or a built-up area. There is literally nothing. So I can justifiably say to everybody, don't contact me because I will not get your messages. But I guess if we're aware of it, let Ian have a safe trip down. And I'm glad that we've alerted you to the traffic. Let's go and talk to somebody that knows more about this than we do. Kevin Curran is a cybersecurity expert from Ulster University. Good morning to you, Kevin.
Good morning, Caroline.
So you're going to know more about this because we can't figure out, in our little minds, all that you need to do is to pop a little mast up and cheery. These black spots will be covered. It's not that simple, is it?
No, it comes down to economics. It comes down to politics. It comes down to, just like you're saying, people do not want masks everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, lately, they've extended the mask heights from 20 metres to 25 metres, which is good. That means we require less masks. But there are many factors to do with poor signal. I mean, the number one you could say is the objects in the way. Like mountains interfere with signals. Generally, a cell phone signal could go for 40 miles theoretically, but generally it's about 20 miles. So it depends on how many masts are along the way. And of course, like your guest said there, on motorway, most operators will have masts that service most of the main arteries, the main motorways, because of course it's in their interest. It comes down to economics, that the busier an area, the more masts they will have, the better coverage, because they can make their money. If you live in an island in the middle of nowhere with just 10 families, you know, it's very hard to convince the EEs and the trees of this world to put thousands of pounds into building masts and doing that, because they're not going to get their money back. But generally, objects are a very big thing. And even windows, even now with the eco glass, you have e-glass, that has metal oxide in it, and that can actually prevent signals coming into a house. Of course, the more walls you have, the further away you are from the cell phone tower. Weather can also play a big part. And then when we haven't even reached the phone yet, again, that if your phone is low on battery, it'll not get a good signal again,
Really,
Also,
that makes a difference. The fact that the phone can be running low on battery makes a difference to the signal.
It does, because when a phone is running low on battery, more difficult to locate the signal because phones are programmed to use less power for that process to conserve power as much as possible, and this results in poor, cell phone signal.
Right. Well, you're fading in and out, ironically, at the minute, Kevin. So we'll proceed and hope that if you stand on a high spot, we may be able to hear you a bit. Does it matter which network you're on?
It does, because different network operators will have different cell coverage around the UK, right? So therefore, the first thing you should do is actually first of all, ask people in the area. So you move in house to a new area. The first thing, and you find your cell phone connection is not good. Well, then ask the people who live there what they're using. Are they happy with their coverage? But also go to Ofcom. Ofcom are the regulator. They're independent. And go to their Ofcom coverage checker and type in the postcode of the area you're going to, or you're going to work in, or you're going to be for X number of months, and that will tell you how good the coverage is from the different providers. And then you might want to move to the provider who has the biggest kind of color check, for best signal on that area. So it does matter who your operator is. Now, there is a little bit of confusion. Like, there's also mobile network virtual operators, like the likes of Virgin, all these, who kind of piggyback on the backs of the main ones like 3 and O2 and EE. But that's probably confusing a lot of your listeners again. But it does matter what area you're in, because different operators will have just better coverage.
Right, I see. And I've noticed that there are a lot of black spots around Birmingham, and it's always been the case. There have been the same black spots for years and years and years. How come they're not picked up on and somebody thinks, right, well, I'll stick something there then? Or, because, it's the second city after all. You'd think that we'd be doing better.
Yeah, but again, it probably comes down to economics again, that they just find that there's not enough subscribers in that area. And in some ways, it's a lose-lose situation for them, because neighbours are obviously talking to each other. People also, when you can buy a phone contract from someone, you've got 14 days to return it. So therefore, if your signal's not good in the first week or two, then definitely go back and just ask for your money back and move to another operator. But sometimes people generally in areas are all on the same kind of a network. Again, and of course you can use your Wi-Fi as well. The one thing I would say to people who are stuck in a bad area at home or whatever, and it's so important nowadays to have good coverage, is to get a femtocell. It's called a signal booster. You can get them from your operators like O2 or 3 or whatever. Sometimes they give them to you free because they know that they want to keep you as a customer. And what that does, it connects into your broadband router, and it literally becomes a mini cell tower, and it boosts your signal for a few hundred, for tens of meters around your house, and you actually can have very good coverage, because what happens is your phone will start to communicate with this signal booster, and then that signal booster will use the internet to reach your call rather than the actual mobile network, and they're very good. And you can actually get them for your car as well. If you're a salesman and you travel a lot and your signal's not good, you can actually get a signal booster for your car, and that results in an antenna going on top of your roof or whatever, which has got a better, for sure, and that will give you a better, and you connect to that in your car, and that can actually help. But very few people would buy that one. But I would recommend to anyone with very bad mobile signal
that you get one of these things that you stick on near the modem. Okay, but I'm filling in the bits here because you keep cutting out, Kevin. We've read news stories. Countries like South Korea are light years ahead of us. Why? Why have they got it so right then? Is it simply the infrastructure?
It's simply the infrastructure. It really is that they've built out from an early stage, and maybe the customers will pay a higher tariff as well. So the more you're getting from a customer, the more annual, revenue you're generating from each customer, the more you can put back into the infrastructure. And perhaps our government, maybe their government communications minister was just clued in from the start, and that often happens. But generally, high-tech society always has better mobile coverage, like in Scandinavia and countries like that, really. Again, just to go back, there's another thing. Also, the way you hold your phone can also affect it. There was an infamous incident with the iPhone 4 when it came out, that people were resulting in very bad phone calls. and it was the way that the antenna was positioned in the actual phone. So sometimes actually a bad case, a cheap mobile phone case can actually impact the signal as well because it's right beside the antenna in your phone. And also the way you hold it. So if you really are desperate to get a phone call, remove the cover off your phone and hold the phone with your two fingers by the edge. That may help in some extreme cases.
That is astonishing. So just how you simply hold your phone can make a difference.
It can in certain cases, it can. But in general, the phone covers we get are fine. And hopefully the signal is good enough. But also the number of apps you have open on your phone will also be competing. Will be competing with the bandwidth on your phone call. So if you're really desperate for a phone call and you're waiting for that girl to phone you or that guy to phone you, then shut down all the apps in the background that you can, and then go outside and just hold the phone and take the cover off, and then hopefully you will not miss that call.
Kevin, the other night my daughter shut down my apps. We got up to 120, so I never ever closed them down. Oh, you have been a great help, Kevin, and I'm sure going forward we now know the little things that we can do to get a better signal. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome, Caroline.
Thank you. Kevin Curran, who's a cybersecurity expert from Ulster University. So hold that. Do you know what?
See, it's all your fault.
No, it's not all my fault. I'm going to shut my apps down now.
Thank you. Just to be clear, all the times you've accused me of my signal cutting out.
No. Let's be honest. Your house is abysmal for phone
I'll accept
signal.
the house, but who's the one who's always got the battery nearly on empty?
Well, maybe.
Who's the one who's always got dozens of apps open at any one time?
Possibly. And I
Thank you.
always use the phone like that.
Yes,
with
you
my
do, don't
phone,
you?
hand covering it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But who holds the phone like that with two fingers?
I'm going to start doing
No,
that,
it's like drinking
to
a
be fair.
cup of tea, isn't it? Out of a cup and saucer and delicate. I don't do anything delicately.
Makes sense, though.
And take the cover off. Although we've got good covers, haven't we? So we're all right.
Mine's only a spindly thing.
But if you do have a cheap cover, just watch into that, because that could make the difference. You're blocking the signal going out. So there we go. Do these things, and you never know. You could have a conversation with someone, and nobody needs to cut out again.